Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so like I said, we have 4 fantastic speakers, and it's such a privilege for me to bring some of them off stage while some are joining virtually. So first, I'm going to be introducing Dr. Sakinat, and Dr. Sakinat is an highly respected academic researcher. You know, one thing I can tell you about Dr. Sakinat is the fact that she's a community person. She's a strong women, girl, child advocate. I mean, if you have a vision, you want to grow in data science, in research, Dr. Sakinat is someone that can support you. You know, her career is marked by commitment. She's committed to building gender gap. You know, few times that I've had the privilege to interact with her, I can tell you for one thing, she's a strong advocate. She believes in the fact that data-driven innovation is what really power the next generation. So permit me to stand up to read some of our great work. So our work focuses on leveraging AI and data science to address societal challenges with strong emphasis on health, informatics, education, humanities, and capacity building. Dr. Sakinat has a passionate, I can attest to this, passionate advocate for women in AI and STEM. She has been instrumental in mentoring women and fostering AI capacity building in African institutions. She has published widely. Please, can we celebrate that, please? Don't be tired, come on. I mean, our contribution has significantly impacted AI education and research in Africa, making her a leader in promoting ethical and inclusive AI practice. Please, can we celebrate that as well? It really brings me great pleasure to welcome Dr. Sakinat off stage. Please, Dr. Sakinat, please, can you join me on the stage? Please, let's clap. Don't be tired. This is the last session for today. Thank you so much, Dr. Sakinat, for joining us this evening. I know a couple of us know her already. Please, let's keep, come on. Don't be tired. Thank you so much, Ma. All right, so I'm going to be introducing the next person, Dr. Ife Adebara. Dr. Ife also is a researcher. Please, can I confirm the speakers online can hear me? So, okay. So Dr. Ife is a researcher with over 7 years of experience in natural language processing, linguistics, and language policy. For her PhD dissertation, she developed a deep learning technology for 517 African languages. Please, let's celebrate that. She really advocates, and I've been working with Dr. Ife for like 2-3 months thereabouts. She's an advocate for Afrocentric approach. She believes that, while we talk about the GPTs and how we need to have a more African-centric, language models and the like. And so she's using technology. She ensures that what technologies to build, to evaluate, to deploy are based on local African communities. And that's a lot of inclusivity, ensuring that we have inclusive African language model, not just for Africa, but for the world as well. Please, can we celebrate our great work? So Dr. Ife will be joining us virtually. Dr. Ife, if we could just respond with the chat, if you can hear me, while I move on to the next speaker. Okay. Okay, yes. Someone also special that I would like to, bring up stage. She's here with us. It's Faiza Sanni. Faiza is a seasoned project manager with Data Science Nigeria. She's our current Northern lead. She's our current Northern technical delivery lead. And I can tell you, she actually manages a project that is currently training over 5,000 women and girls in data science and artificial intelligence. And she's managing it end to end. She's a soft speaker, but she's really commanding a lot of influence. And as a technical project delivery lead for Northern Nigeria DSN, she oversees a lot of high-impact projects across Northern Nigeria. She has been instrumental to developing several language-focused solutions, ensuring inclusivity and accessibility for diverse linguist groups. She also is a dedicated mentor to DSN Ladies in AI and Arewa community. It means she's a key figure in Nigeria's digital technology advancement and transformational push. Please, let's give her a warm welcome. Faiza, please, you can join me upstage as well. Please, come on. She's coming from all the way from Kaduna. She flew all the way from Kaduna to join us this evening. Thank you so much, Faiza. How many of us came from Kaduna? So, I'm sure some of us know that already. Okay, so I'm going to be introducing our last panelist. And that is Toyosi Odukoya. Yes, so Toyosi Odukoya, she's an experienced strategy, innovation, analytics, and digital transformation business leader with expertise in applying insight and HAMP. She has worked, for virtual, something that is strong about Toyosi is the fact that she has been able to work across multiple continents. She has worked across Africa, Asia, Europe, and North America. Please, can we celebrate that? It's not easy. So currently, she's the Senior Director for Programs Operation, Planning and Business Intelligence at the Mastercard Foundation, where she oversees and integrates program-wide performance. I know also that Toyosi Odukoya has also worked with Coca-Cola for West Africa, diverse countries. In fact, not just country, continents. She's a strong advocate as well, and she'll also be joining us as a panelist virtually. Okay, I just need to confirm my panelists can hear me. So yes, if you can hear me, you could just speak. You can unmute and speak. Okay, let me take my seat while I allow them sort the technical issue. So why are we here? So we're talking about collaborative approaches, inclusivity. Well, why do we need to include a lot of people? And some people might be like, is it about women? It's not about women, it's about inclusion. And we really need to start from where we are. There's a need to include people that are disadvantaged, either women, either those that are, maybe in the northern part of the country, and that's why we have Faiza as well. Either the less, people that are physically handicapped, but we have to start from somewhere. And our topic of discussion today is collaborative approach. How do we ensure that AI is ethical? AI includes everyone. It's not just some set of people somewhere designing what every one of us will use, right? So we have different questions that I'm going to be asking my panelists, and they'll be sharing not just, insight, but also personal experiences about how they've been able to ensure in their own field inclusive collaborative approaches. So let me confirm again if those, they can hear me. Great. All right, so I'm going to be starting this session with like an open thought. So I've always gotten this hype that, why is it always our women? We'll do International Women's Day how many times in a year? Then we have just Father's Day once, and then we have International Day of the Girl Child. So what are there specific challenges that women face that, maybe the men in the just room need to be aware? Or is it just that we are trying to hype something? And, I lead the DSN ladies in AI, and we notice we have different sessions. We have weekly check-in. We have training. We train women on how to build chatbot. We train them on so many other things. And I discovered that the most attended session was imposter syndrome for women. And I'm like, why? When we were doing our chatbot, we didn't have so much people joining in. So, and, that really brought to mind, are there specific things that we all need to be aware that women face particularly, right? And then if you could share some of these challenges, so I'm just going to take it one after the other. What are the challenges that women face that or maybe a personal experience you will be willing to share that women face in this data field, in this AI field? So I'm going to start with Dr. Sakinat.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank DSN particularly for giving me this opportunity. And I also want to tell everyone here that I'm also an alumni of this bootcamp. I attended in 2018. And then, just like I used to tell everybody, there's no latecomer. I started with this bootcamp after I had my PhD. I had my PhD in 2015, but I attended this bootcamp in 2018. when you get tired easily, work does not stop because you do that. But when men understand that at that stage is a phase that passes, then how can we create a flexible environment to accommodate women with that? Or women with babies attending boot camp like this is okay, we can do that, but we can create a flexible environment like probably a daycare, a creche, that we could put our babies there, or breastfeeding room, so that after we have done our bit, you come back and attend the program. So these kind of things, they don't go away. Whether you are a young woman or an old woman, they don't go away. So you continue to do that and also be focused on your career. So when that phases pass, then you relax and continue with what you are doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please, can we celebrate Dr. Sakinat for that insight? Picking upon what she said, and I'm going to ask Toyosi to unmute and speak. So, how do we address these barriers? So, some of these challenges are real. I mean, a woman, maybe, she might even be a C-level executive. Someone that is working, for example, Toyosi, you are working across multiple continents, and then you're pregnant, you need to also multitask. You're going to get tired. How can organization address some of these barriers? Toyosi, I would really like to hear your thoughts on that. Are there other challenges that you feel women face? And I really like you've been working with over 5,000 women and girls. Are there some specific challenges that are even more focused on women in the northern side of Nigeria?
The ways that women can be encouraged to feel like they belong in those spaces. I also think there's also need for more mentorship. So for people that have already, been able to get into the field, who are already working, I think it's also a good way to reach out to other ladies and let them know that you understand what they may be going through in their particular situations. And I'll just say that, those are some ways that we could reduce or alleviate, the current lack of inclusion that is in the field currently. Yeah, so I'll stop there for now.
Thank you so much. Can we celebrate her? Really picking from what Dr. Ife has said, and I'm going to go back to Dr. Sakinat because you are a strong advocate for women. I mean, I checked your last LinkedIn post and you were reposting community members that won the Lama grants. I mean, if you are in a community or in a space, she will always push you beyond, over and above. And she even promotes you. Dr. Sakinat had a lot of connections. Now imagine her reposting your content. And that is something that she does. You can go and check her post on LinkedIn. She just wants people to know that you are doing something, and everybody needs to know that you are there. So, coming from what Dr. Ife mentioned, what's the role of mentorship, right? You're a girl-child mentor, which I'm aware. What's the role of mentorship in helping some of these women? And can you share a bit of experience on that as well?
Thank you so much. A mentor is like a role model, somebody you can look up to that has experience, that you can gain from my experience, and has that network and has that connection that you can gain from. So, but I just digress a little. Now, what I encourage ladies to do more now from research and from interaction and from what Faiza said, it's really challenging, bringing women out, even with us around. So I just encourage ladies and women to be your own mentor. I don't know if we get that. Be your own mentor. Mentor yourself. Like now, this imposter syndrome happens to everyone. It happens to me many times. The first time I had my published work in Elsevier, I couldn't sleep for 1 week. I never believed that, but I didn't sleep for 1 week because I was like, are you sure? What did I even write in that paper that made Elsevier publish that paper? I was a first author. So that's like an imposter syndrome. And it took me a while. I still questioned myself, what did I write? So it took me a while, like for 3-4 months. I didn't write anything anymore. You know, later I picked up again. So being your own mentor, how can you mentor yourself? Now, the imposter syndrome came. He wanted to overshadow me. He wanted to take away the joy of my little contribution. And she has said that for you to overcome this syndrome, you have to do this, you have to do that. Now, everybody have said their bit. Now, is that getting to me? Can I really bring myself out of that syndrome? I did. You know, eventually, I kept convincing myself that, yes, you deserve it, girl. You can even do more. So just bring yourself out and write more paper. Be inclusive and, you encourage your students to do more. So I encourage us to be our own mentor. And also, you lend your voice everywhere that you go. Let them know that you are doing this or you can do this, and others too can do that. So mentors are practically role models. So be your own role model. After you have seen other role model, then try and bring it home to yourself.
Women and girls in Kaduna that has been trained through this process of Arewa Ladies for Tech. Can you talk about this initiative? And I also want to talk about the role of mentorship as well, because I know we have a mentorship structure for the program as well. So tell us about how were you able to get 5,200 women in Kaduna State, right? And people, I believe you want to know about it. Please, just briefly. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So training 5,200 women in northern Nigeria is a feat. I can tell you that for sure. Because before you even say you're even going to data science, to teach people data science, you have to even make sure that these persons have already used the computer before. So guess I was shocked when most of the people that came have never used Microsoft Excel. Yes, it was that bad. So facilitators had to go down to the scratch, starting to teach people about how to use a computer, how to use a mouse, how to type. It was that serious, right? But we're able to achieve that. Of course, we had amazing facilitator across board. Thank you, guys. And with mentorship, so after that 3-month training, you'd realize that now women are empowered. Okay, they've gotten the skills, right? They've also applied, because they do projects. As soon as you're done with a course, what you do is you do a project. And you post that project online. So, people are looking at you. What is next? What is she going to do next, right? So the next thing that we did was mentorship programs. And let me tell you something. Initially, I just thought, okay, mentorship program, people would just come, speak to them, they get empowered and all. But people found newfound confidence as soon as they were done listening to what a mentor had to say. Another thing we did is we invited northern women. Again, right? Not just northern women. We had other, experts from around the country, even international speakers. But the northern women, when they came and they spoke from their perspective, it kind of showed them that if I can do it, you also can do it, right? So sharing that perspective, sharing opportunities as well, because to be honest with you, it's not easy to, thrive in this space that we're in as a woman. That's the truth, right? So when you have someone that tells you that, oh, when you want to get an opportunity like this, this is where you can go. This is how you can do it. This is how you can even, you can fix up your CV. I can help you review it. It gives you that newfound confidence. You see them applying for opportunities that initially they were skeptical about applying. But now because someone has told them something that has empowered them, they are now looking up to that person and they are applying for positions that initially they wouldn't have. So for me, I think mentorship is very powerful, right? Because I've seen it, happening real life, and I've seen the impacts in people. You would see people. I mean, I would quote one of my beneficiaries from the program. She said, anytime I listen to some of you people speak, I just feel if you guys can do it, I can also do it. Right? If I see women with 4 children coming for classes every day, like despite the tight schedule, submitting projects, submitting assignments, if I see them doing this every day, I just tell myself, if I'm feeling lazy, I just tell myself, girl, you need to get up. You can do it. And that was how she was able to push herself through that rigorous training. And she finished. And she's here. Yeah.
I think we would like to recognize her.
She is here. Salama. Yeah.
Salama, can you please stand up? All right, it's really good to have you here. Great, amazing. I hope you're enjoying the conversation, because personally, I'm enjoying the conversation. Okay, so I'm really going to go now to Toyosi. And Toyosi, you posted a quote last 8 months, and I really feel that we need to see more of your posts. You said something, and I had to just pen it down and just brood on it. You said, the pursuit of vision is what makes a leader evolve. The pursuit of vision is what makes a leader evolve. And what was she saying? He said, you look at people now, you admire them. Look at Dr. Bayo, and you're like, oh, amazing. But I tell you, it was because they were able to overcome the challenges. I mean, it was, speaking about the fact that it was a C-level executive in MCN. But it was like, how can we get to the root, people that don't even have anything? Now, because he did that, we are looking at him and like, oh, Dr. Bayo is this in the AI space and all that. It was because they had a vision and they pursued it. I know this is going to bring me to the question that I have for Toyosi. Toyosi, can you hear me? Okay, so the question is, have women contribution led to more equitable AI system? Right? For the few women that are in the space, do you feel their contribution has really done something to having more equitable AI, in real life? And can you share maybe personal examples of how your contribution as a woman, if you weren't there, maybe it would have been done more differently, right? So if you could share that with us.
Yeah, I think, thank you very much. And, reflecting on this question is a very good question, but very difficult to answer as well. But let me just reflect in general on my own experience. Like I said, I just like sharing my own experiences. So when we talk about women's contributions to more equitable AI systems in the real world, so how do I think about it? To be honest, definitely women's contributions are very critical, because if you're going to build an equitable AI system, you'd need reflections and perspectives from diverse people, right? When you're doing your research, when you're doing your testing, when you're doing your, the entire data journey, you need to ensure there is minimal bias, right? There has to be very minimal bias. And one of the ways to ensure you have minimal bias is to ensure that you're speaking to and getting the perspectives of as many diverse demographic groups as possible. So no doubt, women's insights have been very critical in shaping some of the systems for AI and making it more equitable. Having said that, I will talk about a colleague of mine, right? And, looking at the work we do where I work, she usually tells us to say, everything you do, put the young woman at the center. Think about the young woman. Think about the young woman. She just says it all the time. And do you know what has happened? Every time we're designing a program now, even though it wasn't, it's at the center of every conversation we have. She just chose to make it, even though it's part of our approaches to work, our vision and all of that, but she chose to make that her own burden, priority, and her own calling. And now, when people are talking about young women, everybody looks at her to say, oh, I was thinking about the young woman when I was designing this, this intervention or this program. So essentially, I think in essence, in general, when we're going to design an equitable AI system, it's very important to have as many diverse perspectives as possible. When you're talking about, and I'll give a typical example. Imagine you're building a model that models how young, maybe completion of secondary education, right? The rate of completion of secondary education. And you're talking about the barriers that people face or why people don't complete secondary education. And you're not talking to women, because the barriers a guy faces is different from the barriers a woman will face. And the woman in Lagos is different from the woman in Taraba. I think somebody on the panel was also alluding to that. And the woman that is 12 is different from the woman that is 16, or the girl that is 12 is different from the girl that is 16. It's different from, you just have to have as many diverse perspectives as possible to enrich the data, the quality of the outcome, so that at the end of the day, whatever you produce is really inclusive. If not, we'll produce systems and solutions that are excluding a major population of people. So I think for me, it's really around getting diverse perspectives and having women at the table where policies are being made, where conversations are being had, ensuring that we are having that lens of gender as well. I told you about the colleague that just came and said, guys, young women in the center of every conversation. Every conversation, young women. I'm not exaggerating, every conversation, except if she's not there. So she tells young women at every conversation, you are designing a digital economy program, young woman must be there. How are you thinking about that young woman in Adamawa State, in maybe Delta, Akwa Ibom, whatever, in Lagos, So I think for me, it's very critical. And it's something that as AI data professionals, we need to make as part of how we work, ensuring inclusive solutions are very critical. If not, we will create solutions and create more problems in the world because our solutions will exclude certain populations or demographic groups. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can we celebrate her? Okay, I know we have a lot of people, researchers here as well. And there was a paper Dr. Ife wrote. The topic is Toward Afrocentric NLP for African Languages. Why that paper is, an interesting paper to read. What she was talking about the fact that you need to improve literacy to have an Afrocentric NLP. What that means that if people cannot even read and write in Yoruba, how will you even get the data to train the NLP models? So I'm just going to piggyback on that line of thought and to say that what is the importance of having women? What is the importance of having equitable AI where these women are able not just to be there as a figurehead, but they know what they want to do, right? We're not just saying just pack everybody that don't know everything. That's what we're talking about. Equitable, inclusivity. So, Dr. Ife, trying, in the same line of thought, I would like you to just share what is the importance of having this equitable, inclusive, in real life applications.
Okay, thank you so much for that question, Shion. I would say everybody is important in the ecosystem of the world. If we think about it, the people who speak English and people who don't speak English, everyone is important. Everyone has an important information to share. Everyone has something valuable that they bring to the table. Let me come from a language technology perspective. When we build language technology, we're trying to ensure that everyone has access in the kinds of, in the style in which they communicate. So, for example, every individual has an idiolect. That means a specific way that they speak, a specific way that they write that is different from the entire population. So we can all speak Yoruba, but everyone has their own, registers, the kinds of words that they use, how they string their words together is unique to them. So, when we're talking about equity and, building equitable AI, we're trying to ensure that everyone is able to have access to the technologies that they need in the languages that they, feel most comfortable with. It's not fair if somebody is able to use ChatGPT because they speak English, and then people who do not speak English do not have that level of access to, technology simply because of the languages they speak. That's not equitable. We want everyone to be able to have access to the resources that they need when they need it in the languages that they feel most comfortable with. Because when we don't do that, what we are doing is we are creating a class system of people, a class where only people who have a certain kind of language ability are able to use the technology. And people who do not have certain language abilities are not able to use the technology, which is not good, right? So we want someone who is a market woman on the, sitting down in any market to be able to use technology to improve their market business, because even though they don't speak English, they know how to use the technology because it's already accessible to them in the languages that they speak. So all of this would improve productivity for everyone. If you think about it, you as an individual, since all this technology started coming up, your work is easier, your work is faster, your productivity levels have increased. That should also be accessible to everybody else, irrespective of what language they speak. So imagine if the productivity level of a bus driver, a bus conductor, a market woman is improved just by technology because we give them access in their languages. Just imagine how much productivity the whole world would enjoy. It's not just about a certain group of people, because I was reading somewhere that in Nigeria, the market women and all these sectors that are, the informal sectors, they contribute huge amounts of financial gain into the system, right? So now imagine if we can even improve their productivity some more by giving them technology in their language. So, equitable AI is not just something that should be said, it's something that should be pursued until we achieve it, for every single individual, not just, a small group of people who speak certain languages. So I'm just going to leave that there.
Thank you so much. Please, can we celebrate Dr. Ife? I still have questions here, but we are really pressed for time, and I want people to ask questions. So if you have any question for any of the panelists, please, you could then just raise your hand. Please, as a guy, you can ask your question. We really even want to hear from men. Okay, so who is the first person now? So who is helping me with the mic, please? Okay, yes, there's a guy at the back. Please, can you pass the mic? Okay. I will appreciate if we can move speedily with that. Thank you. Okay, I saw two people at the back there. Are we struggling to pick one?
For the panelists, for the very informative and good discussion that you have given us tonight. Well, you've opened my eyes to a lot of things, and one of them being that knowingly or unknowingly, we might be shortchanging our women in the space of AI. So I would like to ask that, what are the things that we do as men to shortchange our women in the space of machine learning and AI, and how can we actually help or come in to help them to want to learn and learn more in the space of AI?
Okay, do you have a speaker you are addressing that to?
Well, I think any of them can answer.
Okay, so who is willing to answer that question? So he's asking that, what are the things that, are you saying men or everyone? Okay, so he's saying, what are the things that the men does that affect women, and what can they do to help as well? I think that's a very good question. What can they do to help? Yeah, we're saying women supporting women, let's have role model, but the men now, what can they do to help us? Okay, so any of the panelists can answer.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I think that I want to take a step back. So initially when I was speaking about unintentional bias, it's not just for men. I just wanted to, make that clear. But then again, when it comes to the workplace, essentially, some of the ways that I feel that men should change women is not giving us an opportunity to decide. I was mentioning something. So if we're having a team meeting, for example, you could say, Faiza should go home early, probably because she's a female and all that. The safety, you have a good reason for it. But you didn't give me an opportunity to say if I wanted to stay long to contribute to the conversation. So you see, I've left and I didn't participate in that group discussion where my voice was supposed to be captured. My thoughts were supposed to reflect in whatever we're planning to do, right? So it's sometimes unintentional, but these are some of the ways that I think. Then I think I'll leave it at that one so that we don't have so much drag. But I think that's the specific one that I would particularly say men should change women unintentionally.
Okay, so how can they help?
Okay, so now on how you can help, allow women to decide for themselves. Just allow them decide. So in a workplace, let everyone have a voice. So if we are giving Ahmad a chance to speak, give Faiza a chance to speak as well. If Ahmad says he can stay behind, It's fine. If Faiza says she can stay behind, it's fine. So let everyone be able to make a decision for themselves.
All right, thank you so much. Dr. Sakinat, would you like to add some things?
Yes, though I have so many things to say to that. One is help us to remove the culture barrier that everything about a woman ends in the kitchen, that a woman can't think for themselves. Number two, make the work environment flexible for us when we are undergoing what we undergo. You know, we undergo so many things like our monthly thing or during pregnancy. Just give us a flexible environment to do that, and also be patient, okay? When you are patient, though, just like Nifemi said, and even the federal government too is doing that we should give a woman, every woman, table at everything that we do. You know, I'm a lecturer and we write a lot of grants. And it's even in the TED fund rule that you want to submit a grant of 50 million naira for government for them to approve, you must have 40% women at the table. So you be patient with the women and encourage them all along. Believe me, you'll be surprised at what will come out at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sakinat, for that perspective. I don't know if Toyosi or Dr. Ife would like to give some comments on that question. Wow, our time is past spent.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in and just confirming that you can hear me again. Just,
sure.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you know, reflecting on some of the things that make men successful at work, they're actually those things that women battle, and they are the things that inhibit some of our successes, right? And when you look at men at work, at the workplace, you know, I heard your question, and first, let me say that's a fantastic question, and thank you for asking that question. It's an important question, and I really do appreciate the gentleman that asked that question. But when you look at men at the workplace, they are usually seen as very confident. They take credit for their work. They speak up. They sponsor one another. Some people even call it boys' club, right? They put up the leadership front, like they step up in leadership. To you, gentlemen, it might not be a big deal. These are things that women on a daily basis struggle with. Women struggle with confidence. Women struggle with taking credit for the work. Women struggle with speaking up for themselves. They struggle with getting sponsors and mentors. They struggle with even showing up at leaders, right? And these are some of the unconscious biases, because when a woman is confident and she's called aggressive, when she takes credit for the work, everybody says she's selfish. When she speaks up, they say she's this. When, you know, she's trying to sponsor somebody else, they say she's unfair. So I think my charge to the gentlemen in the room is, for every opportunity you have, think about a woman or a girl, or, you know, that you can support to also achieve that, right? So if you're a manager or a leader, or you're leading a team, you're leading a project, ensure that every voice is heard. Ensure people are comfortable. Don't get to the room and tell women to take notes. There's nothing wrong with taking notes, but it's not, women are not called to the workplace to be taking notes in meetings, right? Why can't the gentleman that came in take the note? So have methodologies and practices in place that ensures equity and inclusivity. So maybe the last person that comes into the meeting takes the note. Simple as that. It doesn't mean that every time you're saying, Ife, please take this note. That's where you are trivializing the contribution that woman brings to the table. So just be deliberate and conscious. Don't say women should always plan events. Men are going to eat at the event as well. So why should only the women plan events? So have systematic approaches, have frameworks, have structures in which you make decisions and in which you take things further. It's very simple. Just make sure that the way you think about a man is the way you think about a woman in terms of what they bring to the table. I've also been guilty of it in the past, where every time I need somebody to take note in my meeting, I call a woman. And I had to stop it. So now it's the last person that comes to the meeting that takes notes. When you're planning an event, you think of only women. When you're doing when you want to go to the governor's office to pitch the project that is going to transform Lagos State, then you go with a gentleman in suits. I think those are some of the unconscious biases that we are used to. And my charge to the gentlemen in the room is, look out for the woman around you. Right? Look out for the woman around you. You know, you'll be surprised because we are not denying our makeup or our physiological being. We are not trying to be any other thing. But we are just saying that the workplace, we need to look out for ourselves and make space for one another because we are different and the way we approach things might be different. So thank you for that, gentleman, for that question. My conclusion is, encourage women to be confident, encourage women to speak up, encourage women to be leaders, encourage women to take on the opportunities that any gentleman will also take. I think that's the role of men in ensuring inclusivity when it comes to gender.
Wow, thank you so much, Toyosi, for that. Okay, I would really have loved to take more questions, but we need to start. Okay, is that a way to discourage me? No. Okay, I don't know if Dr. Fair wants to speak to that. Finally, I would have loved to take closing comment from each of the speakers, but you can always meet up with them and ask questions. Dr. Ife, over.
Okay. I would say I agree with everyone, in terms of how they believe men can, help in terms of inclusivity. I think the other thing I'm going to just mention is that, particularly for men in leadership positions, when the time comes to hire somebody, as much as possible, make provision, for hiring women as well. I think most times people have biases that, a woman is probably not as good in any technical work as a man, and that is not true. Sometimes those biases play out in the workforce where, more room is given to guys, even for the same position, even if a woman who is qualified comes in for it. Some people would just assume that the man is going to be more qualified or, have better technical skills. So I'll just say, if you want to have inclusive workplaces, give more room for women in your organizations, give them a space to do their work. Also, I think one of the benefits of having women in the room is that we always have a different perspective from, other people. And you want that diversity, especially if you're building, AI technologies. You want that diversity. You want diversity of ideas, diversity of thought. I remember talking to someone recently who is into, AI red teaming. And some of the ideas that she was coming up with was because she was a mother, she had children, and she was seeing the way her children were using the technology and how they were, able to game the system. And those ideas were coming out because she's a woman who has children a certain age group. Imagine if it was all men that was in that, red teaming group. Some of the ideas she brought to the table, they wouldn't have been thinking about it. So, women bring a unique perspective to the table that we all need to pay attention to and see as important, especially in the hiring process. Yeah, that's all I'll say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ife. Please, can we celebrate all our panelists? Okay, so we're calling it a wrap here. Thank you so much, Dr. Sakinat. Please, let's celebrate them as they leave the stage. Thank you so much, Faiza, as well. Thank you, Toyosi. Thank you, Dr. Ife. We really, really appreciate your contribution. Wow, what a day. I mean, from what time? We started from morning and then we are closing now. So I really want to celebrate our resilience and tenacity. I mean, I can still see some people's face very bright, wanting more. Do we want more?